Welcome back, Truth Seeker. It must be Newsbenders season 2025. In this age where it's hard to get anyone's attention, this is the script tonight. 2 Idaho firefighters killed in ambush while fighting fire in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho by sniper. And as soon as I heard this, I said, didn't Ruby Ridge happen 33 years ago? Because just a couple weeks ago, they were paying tribute to the 92 riots in L.A. that came from the acquittal of the officers who beat Rodney King on 3-3. They also tried to start another race war this year with Carmelo Anthony on the day that Carmelo Anthony from the NBA was nominated for the Hall of Fame. Remember, they did that on Rodney King's birthday, April 2nd, old 42. But anyway, yeah, it's been 33 years since the Ruby Ridge shootings happened in Idaho. And look how this lines up, you guys. This supposed incident that happened, and yeah, they just found the shooter and he offed himself. What else is new with these psyops? But look at this. Today, June 29th, to the anniversary of the start of Ruby Ridge, August 21st, is 53 days. And what's Ruby Ridge equal in gematria? Well, it equals 53. And the governor of Idaho is weighed in 134 days after his birthday. And what's Ruby Ridge equal? Yes, it also equals 134 if you're new here. The way you get these values is based on the alphabetic order, turning letters into numbers. Again, I learned about this from the 1926 book, The Secret Teachings of All Ages. There are 4 base ciphers of the English language. The alphabetic order, A is 1, B is 2, C is 3, up to Z is 26. The reverse alphabetic order, Z is 1, back to A is 26. And both orders with numerology applied. What you're looking at here is the reverse alphabetic order. That's where Ruby Ridge is 134. And the reverse alphabetic order with numerology, that's where Ruby Ridge is 53. But yeah, 53 days from the anniversary, 134 days after the governor's birthday. If you're new here, I've been showing these same types of patterns with pretty much every mass shooting you've heard of in the last 12 years, and even before that. But I learned about this August of 2013, been documented in the news ever since. It's always synced up with the governor when these shootings happen in the state. It's almost always a tribute to history. Again, we're being mocked, you guys, and the authorities need these stories because this is how they justify their crazy police expenditures, military expenditures. They have to keep creating this idea there's just crazy people out there, and that's why you need the state to protect you from these crazy people. The reality is even the craziest of the craziest person on earth would not shoot firefighters. I mean, it's just completely ridiculous. It's so obvious, the state, and I just can't wait until they put out, probably the if it's not a fake persona, it's probably some former military under MK Ultra, but yeah, I'm sure they'll come out with his manifesto and how much he hated the government, and he was considering shooting up an elementary school or a movie theater, but instead he chose the firefighters. Always these government-hating conspiracy types that targeted everybody, but, well, I guess in this case, shooting firefighters, I guess that's sort of government, but, I mean, who has it out for firefighters? As for, I almost forgot. In light of it being 134 days after the governor's birthday, look how old the state of Idaho is. It's 134 years old right now. It's going to turn 135 in a few days, but it's at the tail end of being 134 years old as they do this ritual 134 days after the governor's birthday. And I guarantee you nobody elected him. All of these people that are in these high positions are chosen. You going out and voting in their rigged selections are doing just that, voting in a rigged selection, validating their lies. That's why the chessboard's set so perfectly. But anyway, yeah, 33 years. Again, you got to learn the 33 code. This nation was brought to you by a bunch of 33rd degree Scottish Rite Freemasons when Freemasonry is based in Kabbalah, which is where this whole thing of letters and numbers comes from. Gematria is a practice within Kabbalah. Gematria is the practice of coding numbers into words. But yeah, 33 years later, FF, it's 33 like police. Again, the Fraternal Order of Police is totally Masonic. Federal, Washington, D.C. is known as the Masonic City. Federal Masonry Secrecy Order, they're all 33. There could be a little KKK joke in here. KKK is also 33. Coeur d'Alene's known historically for where the white supremacists hang out, which is kind of too bad because if you've never been to Coeur d'Alene, it's probably one of the most beautiful places in the whole country. People would say that's God's country, Coeur d'Alene, Wyoming. Beautiful, beautiful places. But, yeah, just another Just another mainstream psychological paying tribute to history. And don't forget, out of Ruby Ridge came Waco with 33-year-old David Koresh. And then out of Waco came OKC, where the state put Timothy McVeigh to death at 33, 3 months before 3 structures were hit with 3 planes, 33 years after construction began on those big towers in New York, where construction began in 68. But yeah, this one's just too easy. We better think about what else happened in 92. What were the other big stories in 92 besides the L.A. riots and Ruby Ridge? What else could they pay tribute to 33 years later that was like what happened in 92? If you think about it, you'll be ahead of the curve. Until next time. Welcome back, Truth Seeker. In the headlines in recent days, NFL Super Bowl III winner Jerry Philbin dead at 83. And of course, in gematria, football equals 83, as does murder. They say the greatest QB draft class of all time was the class of 83. Jerry Philbin, he played for the Jets and was on that team that won Super Bowl III. He finished his career with the Philadelphia Eagles, who won the last Super Bowl. And in light of that, here is what stands out. Again, dead at 83. Just like in gematria, football and murder equal 83. Again, the song Murder by Numbers by the Police, where killings as simple as ABC is 1, 2, 3. It came out in 83. He has died 137 days after the Eagles won the Super Bowl. And 137 is the 33rd prime. Of course, American football is credited to Walter Camp, the Freemason. Camp equals 33, like masonry, like secrecy, like order. And what's known as satanic gematria, NFL equals 137. Again, dead 137 days after the Eagles won the Super Bowl. And the number that always gets paired with 33 is 74. He's also dead 74 days before the Jets, the team he played the majority of his career with, opened the season. We just talked about this the other day with on Freemasonry's birthday, June 24th, the 33-year-old Muslim winning the primary in New York, and his birthday is the day leaving, 74 days left in the year, and it's all synced up with 9/11, which happened 33 years after construction began on those buildings. They were on the 74th meridian, and out of the 50 states, only one equals 74 in gematria, and that's the 33rd state, Oregon. But 74 days before the Jets opened their season on September 7th. Don't forget, killing equals 74, like Masonic, whereas Masonry is 33. And another number we see all the time, dead 201 days before the anniversary of the Jets winning the Super Bowl on January 12th. Again, 201 is a big number with the Jesuits. From the beginning of this nation, there's been Masons and Jesuits in high places. It's a reminder that Vince Lombardi, the trophy they play for, he was a Jesuit who died unexpectedly at Jesuit Georgetown. But 201 days from the anniversary of the Jets winning the Super Bowl, the Jesuit Order 201. He did die 228 days before the upcoming Super Bowl. In Sumerian gematria, death is 228. The United States of America is 228. And he died on what would have been George Orwell's 122nd birthday. George Orwell had that quote, all it took to fill up the horizons of their mind was beer, sports, and gambling. Is that how the quote goes from 1984? It's something like that. But it would have been Orwell's 122nd birthday. National Football League equals 122. And Orwell was referring to what we call as soccer, but the quote is football. And in light of him being a New York Jet, longtime Jet, it is Super Bowl 60 this year. New York Jets are one of the teams with the 60 connection. So R.I.P. Jerry Philbin. And if you catch a notification for this video, I'll be uploading another one right after this about what they're doing in Idaho with the sniper taking out the firefighters. It's a total and obvious tribute to Ruby Ridge, which happened 33 years ago. Two of the biggest stories of 33 years ago were the L.A. riots after the Rodney King police officer acquittals. They already paid tribute to that this year. And now we got a Ruby Ridge tribute. So that'll be next. And then I got to put Sweet Girl to bed too. All right. Until next time, True. Welcome back, True Seeker. In the headlines, legendary horse trainer D. Wayne Lukas dead at 89 shortly after the Kentucky Derby. In fact, 56 days after the Kentucky Derby, a big number with that event. He is the second greatest horse trainer of all time, according to wins in the Triple Crown events. Of course, Bob Baffert is number one, who's become an infamous name. But look at the ritualism here. D. Wayne Lukas dies 56 days after the Kentucky Derby. That's the one Sovereignty won, and congrats to the winners. If you're on the Patreon, you got that information before the race went off. Again, Russia threatened Ukraine's sovereignty February 22nd, 2022, the 53rd day of the year at the time, the same day Sovereignty was born. And, of course, Sovereignty won the race on May 3rd, 5-3. There was a lot more to it as well, but that was a big piece. Again, all these races are rigged, and they're almost all tributes to history and current events. But anyway, he's dead 56 days after the Kentucky Derby, and he's dead on the first of the last 187 days of the year. And in Gematria, the alphabetic order in numerology, Kentucky Derby equates to 56, just like Society of Jesus. Remember, they run the show. They gave us the calendar and the language, and they control these rigged sports events. Don't even remind me what they did with Medina Spirit. The year that horse won the race and then was disqualified and then died. It was one giant Jesuit ritual, as we covered, and that was another year we nailed the Derby before it went off. But yeah, again, these are big numbers with the Jesuits. Kentucky Derby and Society of Jesus also equate to 187 when you run the alphabetic order in reverse. If you're new here, there are 4 base ciphers of the English language: the alphabetic order, the reverse alphabetic order, and both orders with numerology applied. But just think about how perfect this is. The Kentucky Derby, the biggest racing event of the year in horse racing, the second greatest trainer of all time when it comes to the Triple Crown events, which lead off with the Kentucky Derby. It's quite specific. The news broke one day after his passing, which was June 29th. That's the 180th day of the year. Horse racing equals 180. So what a day to be announced dead. In light of the Jesuits, he died 228 days after the leader of the Society of Jesus' birthday. United States of America equals 228, as does death. And the United States of America is interesting because the horse that he had in the Derby this year was American Promise. That was D. Wayne Lukas's horse, American Promise. For another familiar pattern, from the date of death to his upcoming birthday was a span of 67 days. His full name is Darrell Wayne Lukas, which equates to 67. And we see this a lot with celebrity deaths, whether their names equal 67 or not, just dying in connection to 67 days from their birthday, 67 date numerology. Remember, human sacrifice equates to 67, as does blood sacrifice. And again, I mean, if you're stumbling across this video and you think this is all coincidental, you should stick around, because this is what's going on all the time in the world of entertainment with these suspicious deaths that really do come rapidly in the world of entertainment. And again, nobody's going to question the death of an 89-year-old, but you look into these things and you say, maybe D. Wayne Lukas could have lived a bit longer. It says, D. Wayne Lukas, the Hall of Famer who became one of the most accomplished trainers in the history of horse racing and a face of the sport for decades, has died. He was 89. His family said Sunday that Lukas died Saturday. That was June 28th. 6 and 28 are the first two perfect numbers. The big sports event that day was UFC, and the top fight, the guy stayed perfect. Pretty easy call, because they pay tribute to perfection every year on 6/28. It's also that puppet Elon Musk's birthday. He died at his home in Louisville, Kentucky. Kentucky, for the record, equals 43. He died in his 43rd week of life. So I hear sweet lady calling me. You can read my post at gematriaeffect.news. 1989 was a big year for Lukas. He was the top earning trainer in all of the sport in 89. And I'm sure if you go through that year with a fine-tooth comb, you'll probably pick up on some more reasons that this is the age he exited the stage on. So, R.I.P. D. Wayne Lukas. And it's on. Welcome back, True Seeker. This morning, Monday, June 30th, they have identified the suspect in the Coeur d'Alene, Idaho shooting of two firemen. as they unleash the latest story that's meant to undermine the Second Amendment. And as we talked about yesterday, this was an obvious tribute to Ruby Ridge, where we're approaching the 33rd anniversary of Ruby Ridge. Look at what the perp's name is. Wes Rowley. How about those initials, you guys? Does it remind you of the Ruby Ridge perp? Randy Weaver. RW. This time it's WR. I mean, give me a break. And like I said, it's all about targeting the gun. Look at the gematria of Wes Rowley. 42, just like gun, just like ammo. And in case you missed yesterday's video, here is the Ruby Ridge tribute. From the June 29th supposed shooting, the crazy sniper targeting firemen, putting out a fire that he supposedly set, and then taking his own life. Notice, from the day of that incident to the upcoming 33rd anniversary of the start of Ruby Ridge, 53 days. Just like how in gematria, Ruby Ridge equals 53 the small way. The governor, who's very much involved in this, Mr. Little, it's 134 days after his last birthday that the shooting happened. Ruby Ridge, the big way, 134. And again, the state of Idaho, 134 years old right now. It will turn 135 on July 3rd, just before the nation's birthday. And about the 33rd anniversary, we just saw this paid tribute to with the L.A. contrived riots, 33 years after the last L.A. contrived riots, where that came out of the beating of Rodney King on 3-3 by the police. Again, in gematria, FF33, like police, like federal, like masonry, like secrecy, like order. Again, Ruby Ridge led to Waco, where David Koresh was 33. Waco led to OKC, where McVeigh was put to death by the state at 33. This stuff really is just so transparent. And yeah, they even got to give you a perp with the same initials as Randy Weaver. Again, Randy Weaver's who Ruby Ridge was pinned on. And just for some more 42s. Again, Wes Rowley, the perp here, 42, like I said, gun and ammo. We know who runs this nation. It's the occult. It's the secret societies that are based in Kabbalah, where this whole thing of letters and numbers comes from. That's the Masons and the Jesuits. Freemason equals 42, as does Jesuit. One of the main controlled opposition on the world stage, who should be so transparent to everybody at this stage in the game. I mean, he used to preach against politics. He used to warn about the coming North American government, Canada, the U.S., and Mexico all as one, and now he's like cheering that on as he's like cheering on the annexing of Canada. He's all in the politics, but yeah, Alex Jones, he came out of Waco. Remember, Waco equals 42, Alex Jones equals 42, InfoWars 42. So this 42 number is not arbitrary. Not to mention Alex Jones's birthday is February 11th, the 42nd day of the year. Randy Weaver, he died in recent history. We covered that at the time. From his death to this incident was 163 weeks and 4 days. Of course, 4 is associated with death, but 163 is the 38th prime. And gematria, death, murder, killing, RIP, they all equal 38. Fire also equals 38. The perp set a fire and then shot the fireman. I think this is the looniest story from the cabal yet in terms of these shootings. Again, it doesn't matter how crazy you are. Nobody targets firemen. You got to be kidding me. So, yeah, they had to give him the same initials as Randy Weaver to just rub it in your face. We'll leave it there for now, Truth Seeker.